Hi, I'm Dylan Jakes. My partner this semester was Marthe Vansickle. Our presentation is titled Community Centering Theory. We look forward to any feedback and ideas that you have, and thank you for an engaging semester. Our organization for the semester is the Missoula Urban Indian Health Center. The center serves the Missoula American Indian population, providing healthcare services and resources like immunizations, testing, diabetes medication and management, mental health care, transportation, referrals, and more. The mission of the center is listed on this slide. This organization's mission is unique in its approach to treatment in that it recognizes the importance of a holistic and comprehensive view of the root causes of and broader symptoms related to American Indian health problems. The center includes cultural practices as a strategy for healing, in addition to providing assistance with things like employment searches, locating housing, and legal questions. These approaches were evident in the interviews with the center employees. Despite being from different departments, each employee promoted the ideas that 1. The center seeks to be culturally relevant, allowing people to feel at home and like family, that 2. Each client's treatment is approached holistically to achieve the greatest success for that individual, and that 3. Every client should have all of their needs met beyond just healthcare, if at all possible. These priorities then allow for larger community issues like historical trauma to be addressed and facilitate a community healing process. This comprehensive and flexible mission of the center falls in line with a variety of the schools of thought our class studied this semester, starting with the neoclassical open systems approach and blending into the more modern approaches such as new public service. Importantly, the neoclassical view of the organization as an organism sets the stage for the center due to its focus on seeking an equilibrium with the environment in which it functions, as well as its flexible boundaries in its employees' responsibilities, which are shaped by the changing needs of the community it serves. Important to our research, Selznick explained that an organization is both an economy and an adaptive social structure. Lack of resources affects economy. Similarly, effectiveness and efficiency within the organization can be manipulated. When you approach analysis this way, you recognize that economy cannot be the only player. The head of an organization may give orders that are not followed. In economy alone, people might be thought of as machines similar to the classical approach. But here, Selznick makes it clear that they are not. These individual members engaging in relationships within the organization are whole on their own. In groups, they make a cooperative system that is engaging within the formal system set by the economy of the organization. In our interviews at the center, we discovered that the relationships within the organization, as well as with clients, greatly affected their productivity and effectiveness. Morgan gave us a new idea. Not only can organizations be open systems, but they can take hold of their own futures by recognizing that they have significant power in their strategy for survival. Change within the organization must be based on images and values that seeks to strengthen the changes that will be implemented. Basically, at the heart of the organization lies a value system that can greatly impact the future outcomes for the organization. Every employee that we interviewed at the center held a strong core value system that related back to its mission. This is phenomenal. Denhart's theory of new public service also falls in line with the center's practices. This approach focuses on the idea that organizations should not steer or row, but rather should serve the community. The center exhibits this approach through its focus on the changing needs of the American Indian population in Missoula. It serves the community as opposed to steering the community by finding ways to address these needs through multiple channels in order to find the correct one for every client. For example, beyond just healthcare and other primary needs services, the center also holds community activities like gardening. The center is a good example of a mission mystique organization. The center's mission is written as though the organization is meant to evolve, and it has, but it has also stayed true to the underlying ideals of cultural integrity, family, and health. The need is met with plans of expansion in its response to the needs of the American Indian community in Missoula, especially with the more in-depth research being done on historical trauma, which is resulting in a better understanding of the rampant health disparities in these populations. Motivation is also met through each employee's personal connection to the organization's mission. Culture and renewal are met through the focus on the changing needs of the community and the drive to expand the scope of the organization's reach. While the center has many positive factors embodied in its approach to its goals, it also has its own difficulties that mostly center around funding. In our research and interviews, the main questions that came up regarding improvement for the future were how to address high turnover rates, instability in funding, and a moving community base. Each year, data is turned in for grant renewal. If the center does not meet their quota of clients, they risk losing funding, further risking loss to the community's resources. So, how can the center address this? The theory of community centering is the best way to address these problems. Community centering would draw from the schools of thoughts already discussed in this presentation, but would more specifically focus on the areas of community transparency, communication, and involvement. This focus would allow for a steady stream of clients so the organization can maintain funding. Community centering draws from Selznick and Morgan and largely embodies the ideas of new public service, but takes the theory one step further to recognize that the community is not just being served, but actually forming the direction of the organization itself. This theory may be achieved first through communication and transparency. In order for the community to understand that its involvement and participation has a direct effect on the survival of the center, we believe that this must be communicated. So here are some of our recommendations that embody community centering. In the past, clients of the center sometimes only receive care at health events held elsewhere in Missoula, which may have contributed to the disconnect of clients to the center. Holding events on location could help to eliminate some of this disconnect. Next, the director has a big impact on the functionality and culture of this organization. This is right in line with what Rainey explained about leaders and their practices affecting culture. We recommend that the choice of director be thoroughly evaluated and that a director be chosen who embodies how the community sees the center growing and in the future. Finally, one of the themes that we saw in our interviews was that some employees struggle greatly with change, playing into Morgan's idea that the organization would strategize and recognize its power in the future. We recommend that the center find new ways to encourage employees to embrace the changes, like Rainey's suggestion of using incentives, which would allow them to embrace the idea of the community steering the direction of the organization. Finally, the theory of community centering is a key innovation for the future of the center. Community centering allows members to take ownership of their care, something that American Indian populations in most cases have not had autonomy over in the past. This will facilitate the trust between the organization and the community, furthering the center's mission. The people being served will be driving the organization in line with new public service. However, community centering draws from this approach, creating innovation by providing more specific methods rather than normative models. There is also innovation in that more communication can further the base of the mission, allowing for the development of an even larger community to serve. From Martha and I, thanks for a great semester.